Okay, I know this is a longer lesson than most, but here's our last example. We have an application problem that actually has a quadratic equation and a quadratic inequality. So example 9, and you're going to see this in your homework, by the way, but example 9 says a ball is thrown vertically upward with an initial velocity of 80 feet per second. The distance s in feet of the ball from the ground after t seconds is s of t equals 80t minus 16t squared. So my distance represents my s in feet, and we have t seconds, and here's my equation. So you can see because you have a t squared, it's a parabola. And because of that negative, it's going to be concave down. So you can see that ball is a parabola-ish, and it is concave down. So here is my, okay, so at what time t will the ball strike the ground? We've talked about striking the ground before. When it strikes the ground, that means my distance, or my s, equals 0. So take your equation and substitute a 0 in for your s. We have 0 equals 80t minus 16t squared. So we have a quadratic. I can't use square root because I have a b. So let's try taking out the GCF here. Or technically, check if it's in standard form, check. Okay, next GCF. So what is my GCF of these two terms? Let me give you a minute. And it is 16t. Now, typically, we want this to be positive, so I'm going to go ahead and take a negative 16t, but you do get the exact same answer if you take out a positive. So 80 divided by negative 16 is a negative 5, and then those t's will cancel. Negative 16 over 16 cancels. T squared over t is a positive t, right? Negative over negative. So this is factored. All we have to do is take out the GCF, and now my t's are already to the first power. So this first one here, we have negative 16t equals 0, divide, and we get t equals 16. Let's know what time will the ball strike the ground. That's talking about when it starts. So at time of 0 seconds, yeah, it's on the ground because it hasn't been launched yet. So that's not really our answer. So we'll take this one here. Negative 5 plus t equals 0. To get t by itself, we're going to add that 5 over. And so t equals 5. So there's our answer. Our t is in units of seconds. So after 5 seconds. Word problems need word answers, or at the very least, units. Now, for what time t is the ball more than 96 feet above the ground? So more than 96 feet above the ground means that my s is greater than 96. Now with equations, I can change where that equals. So it doesn't matter if it's s equals or this equals s. With inequalities, it does matter. So I do want this greater than 96 on the right side. So I'm going to write the rest of this on the left side. So we have 80t minus 16t squared is greater than 96. Now I'm going to kind of contradict what I said before, many times before, and what I just said in part A. Whenever I have a quadratic equation, I want this squared component to be positive. But like I said, I need my variable on the left of the inequalities and the number on the right. And so I really don't want to move this over to turn it positive because I don't want to flip this sign at all. So I'm going to subtract my 96 over and I'm going to put this in descending order. So this is negative 16t squared plus 80t, and I'm going to subtract that over minus 96 is now greater than 0. So we have a trinomial. So let's try factoring. And the first thing we do when we factor is in standard form. Yes. Now, GCF. What is my GCF at here? Okay. It is 16 or negative 16. We're going to go with negative 16 to turn this t squared back positive. Now, you can either pull it out or I'm just going to divide it. I like to pull it out when my GCF includes a variable, but here it doesn't include a variable. It's just negative 16. So I'm going to divide everything here by negative 16. Those cancel. We have t squared. This we did up above. That's negative 5t. And when you put this in your calculator, this is 6. So now we have still a trinomial, but it's reduced down. So now let's go into our x. My a times c is 1 times 6. And my b term is at negative 5. What adds up to b, but multiplies to ac. Pause if you need more time. But that's negative 2 and negative 3. Because this is an easy trinomial, this factors to t minus 2, t minus 3. So here we get t is 2, and here we get t is 3. Now it's got to go back and answer the question, for what time t is the ball more than 96 feet above the ground? And you can see from this diagram, they show you that 96 feet. So that's not the highest it goes. And so there's some part that's more than, and that's what we just found, between 2 seconds and 3 seconds. It is more than 96 feet above the ground.